Greetings traveler, and welcome to another one of my speed builds. For today, our travels bring us to Copperdale, and we're rebuilding the Boba Thrift shop because in my opinion it was in a desperate need for a renovation. And I also renamed this from ThrifTea to Vintea. And you know, I always name my lots, and I wanted a name that's punny and catchy and that refers to something in real life. The original name is also punny and quite clever, I like it, but I went for Vintea because it's a reference to a real life online thrift store, which is Vinted. So Vinted, Vintea, you know, you get it. And the idea behind this build is that there are 2 townhouses in Copperdale because I'm going to add another building right next to this. Were, you know, regular normal houses, and then the pink house became vacant, and then the owner came and purchased it, and he renovated it and made a boba shop with a lounge or a bar on the second floor because that's what I did here. You're gonna see that later. And then a few years later, the building next door also became vacant, so he also bought that and renovated it, and then decided to add the thrift store. And then he decided that instead of keeping those 2 as 2 separate buildings, that he would just open their interiors to each other. So there are doors on the first and second floor leading from one building to the other. There was a controversy on Twitter. Well, technically there always is some sort of controversy on Twitter, like every single day. But that specific controversy was about the concept of the ThrifTea store and how it doesn't make sense and that people didn't really like mixing those 2 ideas together. But I personally love the idea of mixing a thrift store with a boba shop because I love thrifting. I have been thrifting all of my clothes almost for the last like 7 years. And I also love boba so much. So put those 2 together and you have something better. It's a unique idea and I love it. And if I did find a real thrifty shop in real life, I would go there every single day. So I wanted to use a lot of items from the high school years pack in this build, and especially here in the boba shop. I used the counter and these shelves and also the tables and chairs from that pack. And this is like very out of my comfort zone just because of these colors. These aren't colors that I would ever go for usually. These whites and baby pink and baby blue. It's just too bright and girly for me. I don't know. But I decided to just step out of my comfort zone and do something different for this build. You're gonna see the other half of the build with the thrift store that it's gonna gradually change. So the first floor of this thrift store is also like very chic and elegant and bougie, just like this boba section here. But I'm gonna add in like some industrial elements there. And then we go up to the second floor of the thrift section. And that's where it's gonna get very dark and industrial. And I think that section is like my favorite part of this whole build. And then we're going to move on to the second floor of the boba shop. This is probably a confusing layout, but it's much simpler than it sounds. I'm just explaining it in the order that it's going to appear in this speed build. So the second floor of the boba shop is where the lounge or the bar is, and I also added like a keyboard and a microphone, so that's where you can like watch a live performance of a local band and enjoy a drink. And the decor there is quite similar to the first floor, but it's also got like this dim and moody pink lighting. Also, you're gonna notice a shift from classical music, which you're hearing right now, to this more like indie rock music when we move on to the second floors. And I don't know how much that makes sense, but I wanted the music to match the vibes of what I'm building. So I'm just gonna say goodbye here because we only have the changing room, which of course isn't functional. And then we're moving on to the second floor. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this speed build, and I hope to see you again in my next one. Please consider subscribing if you haven't yet, and as usual, the tray files are on my Patreon for free. Bye!